Thank you. We'll begin. Welcome to everybody to the open session of the Fiscal Planning, Finance and Building Committee meeting of Tuesday, April the 4th. We will start with a call to order. And we'll require a motion to convene into closed session. Trustee Davies and Trustee McDonald, are you online?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, thank you. Will you second the motion to convene?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Item 3 in the open session is to rise and report from the closed session. This, for everyone's information, is asking that the report from the closed session regarding the tender activity report for the period of January 1st to February 28, 2023 be received. Trustee Bailey, will you move that, please?
Absolutely.
Will you second that, Trustee Promoli? Thank you. Are there any questions about the tender activity report? All in favor? This is carried. Thank you. We have item 4 is the acknowledgement of traditional lands. Thank you.
The land upon which we work, live, and sustain ourselves is the ancestral and treaty lands of the Michizagig Anishinaabe, also known today as the Mississaugas of the Credit, the rightful caretakers and title holders of this land. We also recognize the rich pre-contact history and relationships which include the Anishinaabe and the Ongwe-Hongwe.
Since European contact, this land continues to be home to Indigenous and non-Indigenous peoples. As responsible community members, we value the diversity, dignity, and worth of all people.
Colonialism displaced and dispossessed Indigenous peoples of their ancestral land
and continues to deny their basic human rights, dignities, and freedoms.
We are committed to learning true history to reconcile, make reparations, and fulfill our treaty obligations to the original peoples and our collective responsibilities to the lands, water, animals, and each other for future generations.
Thank you. Item 5 is approval of the agenda. Before we call for a mover and seconder, there is an additional item to this. Would everyone please have 9.5? 9.5 will be a school bus tracking app explanation. Acting Controller Wendy Dobson will introduce this subject, but it's 9.5 added to the staff reports regarding school bus tracking app. With that addition in mind, Trustee Singh, will you move to approve this agenda, please? And Trustee Davies, will you second? Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Item 6, are there any declarations of conflict of interest? Seeing none, we'll move to item 7, which is approval of minutes. So these are here for our approval. Item 7.1 is to stop our student transportation appeal region minutes from their meeting of November 28th, 2022. Trustee Brad McDonald, will you move this, please?
Yes, I will.
Thank you. And Trustee Bailey, will you second it? Thank you. Are there any questions about these minutes? Seeing none, all in favor of approving them? Carried. Thank you. Item 7.2 is our Fiscal Planning, Finance and Building Committee meeting of February 1st, 2023. So just for information around the table, when we have a set of meeting minutes that are ours, they belong to our committee, as StopR belongs to us as well. They are here for approval as opposed to receipt. So as we move forward, helping with succession plans for leadership around the table, that's just something to keep in mind. Item 7.2 I introduced already. Trustee Davies, will you move it to the floor, please? And Trustee Promoli, will you second it? Thank you. Are there any questions about those meeting minutes from February 1st? Seeing none, all in favor of approving them? Carried. Thank you. There are no delegations for us at item 8. Item 9 are staff reports. So these are here for our receipt. They're information for us to receive. Item 9.1 is an update regarding permit fees. For our information, we'll be presented this by Acting Controller of Corporate Support Services, Wendy Dobson. Let's move it to the floor first. Trustee Promole will move it. Trustee Singway second. Thank you. It's on the floor now. Acting Controller, welcome.
Thank you and good evening. Through you, Chair. This report is to provide you an update on permit fees. Schools offer our communities the opportunity to utilize space outside of regular school hours for programs, community events, and activities. As per Policy 42 of Peel District School Board, community use of facilities, the rental rates and permit fees should be reviewed and amended to reflect school operation costs for community use. The last analysis and adjustment of our permit fees was completed in 2012, and our operating costs have significantly increased. Starting September 2023, we are amending our rates to align with those of our neighboring board, Duckham-Peel Catholic District School Board. Given the current fiscal realities, this is a necessary adjustment. We will ensure that communication will go out to all of our community users at the end of this month. Our permit fees continue to be structured to support and encourage community-based activities, community partnerships, and bringing community members together. I'm happy to answer any questions pertaining to this report. Thank you.
Thank you for that report. This item has been moved and seconded. Are there any questions about the report? Yes, Trustee Bailey?
Through you, Chair. Many of the community groups that use the school after hours are supporting youth programs. Currently, the fees, as somebody who knows about this, the fees are already high. And it's usually for youth that are in vulnerable situations. What is the new fee structure going to look like?
Yes.
So,
go ahead, Wendy.
Through the chair, we did take into consideration in looking at our non-for-profit, youth non-for-profit. The percentage increase for our youth non-for-profit was only a 5% increase, a very minimal increase for them, because we know that situation, that those groups don't have the extra funding because they are non-for-profit.
Subsequent question?
Yes.
Just turn your mic on. There you go.
The use of the school is for the community. And that 5% fee, it might seem nominal to you, but to an organization that is barely surviving because it is made up of community vulnerabilities, for lack of a better word. How did we justify that? The school wouldn't have been used anyways.
So, through you, Chair Cameron, what has happened is the reason, actually, the rationale behind for us to look into changing some of those rates is simply our fiscal reality. Our fiscal reality is that since COVID, we have a decline of 10,000 students in there. So that's a reduction of close to $100 million in our revenue, $100 million in revenue. So we are not in a position where we can continue to subsidize the after-hour programs, because otherwise what we will be doing is technically we are literally taking the funds from our classroom where we should be supporting exactly the same students with our programs, and we will be supporting the community groups. So I think what we're trying to do is that we want to make sure we are not taking the funds from our classroom. We want to make sure that we are supporting our students during the day, exactly the students that you referred during the day, that we want to make sure that we continue to provide them with all the supports. Otherwise, if we don't, we are taking the funds away from our classroom and supporting the after-hour programs.
I find it,
Through the chair.
through you, Chair, I find it rather interesting that the first place that the decrease, the money funds would have come out of is through the classrooms. So if you're losing $10,000 in 10,000 students, per year for the upcoming year, then payroll and benefits would decrease as well. So your overall expenses, because payroll and benefits are the highest on any budget, in any budget, right? So that being said, you're looking to take this money from a community that already doesn't have, a community group that doesn't have the funds. Instead, so explain that.
Sure. Through the chair, Cameron, what I'm saying is it's not that we are taking funds from the classroom. Our first priority is actually the classroom, where we want to make sure that we continue to provide the support. But if we continue to subsidize other areas, we will not be able to provide the support. It's not that we're taking away from the classroom to provide that. And because of this reduction in funding, it's not only, we are in fact making changes all throughout the organization. It has to be through the organization. And we are making some changes where we are creating efficiency throughout the organization to reduce our expenditures to come up with $100 million of what we lost due to the reduction in our loan. So we are creating efficiency throughout the organization, and permit fees is just one aspect where we also need to look at it, still, even with the new rates, we may not be still able to recover fully our expenditure. This is still recovering our cost. It's not that we're trying to make any funds out of that. And we will still, even with these new rates, we will continue to be way lower than the municipalities, other organizations. Our rates are still very affordable as compared to that. Just to give you an example of that, today, if a youth not-for-profit wants to rent our gym for the whole year, it's $50. For the whole year, 2 hours every week. Every week for 2 hours, rent our gym from there, it's only we charge them $50. $50. That doesn't even cover anything. With this new rate, instead of $50, I think we are charging around $7 per day. So if instead of $50, we $400 for the whole year for 2 hours. Still very reasonable rates in there, very cheap there. But we have to do that. Otherwise, what I'm saying is, if the funds go there, then technically we cannot have those funds to support our students in the classroom. I just want to differentiate. It's not that we're taking away from the classroom. We want to make sure we continue to provide our classroom funding. That is our top priority. We want to make sure we provide as much as funds possible we have to the classroom.
Thank you. I think we recognize that there are limited, first of all, there are limited spaces in communities. So there's high demand for all of these. There's also limited resources on the part of our communities to actually rent the facilities. So I think it is a bit of an exchange economy where we're trying to provide as much availability at the most reasonable cost, and that reasonable cost is cost recovery. This board cannot go into any further debt in that column with respect to funding an organization's interest. I have them in my own community, Adult League, for example, volleyball, are really angry at any removal of sites because you want to give them to not-for-profit children. Well, I have that easy conversation with those adults who want us to just continue with rentals for their gym use when we have children who are in need. So I think what I know you do out of your department, Wendy, is to ensure greater availability for not-for-profit organizations. You would like to add, Wendy? Go ahead.
Thank you, and through you, Chair Cameron, I just wanted to add, with our increased costs, we haven't had a rate change in 11 years. That's a long time without any increases, and we can't sustain that in today's environment with our increasing costs. So I just wanted to address that as well.
I think that is reasonable 11 years later to see some increase, and I respect all of our communities that struggle, especially today with inflationary costs of everything. But I think there's also a reasonableness to ask our board administration to not create a debt load that this board cannot afford. Susan, did you have your hand up? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. So, yes, Trustee Singh.
Thank you, through your chair. Just enhancing what
Trustee Bailey just said, because I also heard a lot of senior groups, they are in similar situation as the youth groups. And because insurance has also become very expensive, and I think insurance requirement has been doubled. Instead of 1 million, it's now 2 million. And because of that, they are paying very high premium on that. So that's what they were also saying, that it's no more affordable, especially senior clubs, associations who are always shortage in funds. So I was just wondering if you can take that into consideration, because some senior clubs actually are unable to rent their facility only because of the cost.
Anyone care to respond, or just like to take that information back and as for your further discussions?
Sure.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Trustees, this item 9.1 was moved and seconded.
Stan,
Yes.
Chair Stan,
Sorry.
Cameron?
Yes.
Yeah, I have
Yes,
my
go ahead.
hand up, so I'd like to ask a question through you.
Yes, absolutely. Go ahead. Thank you for your patience.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you, Chair, and through you. And I think the question, some of the questions have been answered. And so if I understand correctly, we haven't had a increase in rates since 2012. So it's 11 years, is what you said. Okay, and that's great. So I've been around during these reviews. Started I think 20 years ago. One of the things is the government would provide us funds to offset and support that. Do they still provide those funds for you, Chair?
Thank you. Associate Director Gill.
Through you, Chair Cameron. Yes, we do get those funds, but again, the ministry has not changed or increased those funds in the last 11 years. It's the same amount of funding that we have received at that time, which is what we will receive. We received this year, or we will expect to receive next year.
No, and I appreciate that clarification, because that's what I thought. So at the end of the day, are we balanced that the money coming in is equal to to the cost to support the rentals of our facilities?
Through you, Chair Cameron, based on the rates this year or current rates, we are not balanced. In fact, we are subsidizing many groups in there. And so going forward, what we're looking at is, as Controller Dobson mentioned, first of all, we are changing our rates to have the same rates at FMPO in there. So, and also we are trying to get to the point where we can recover our cost. But at this point, we are subsidizing the community groups.
And through you, Chair, again, and so do you have a quantity of how much money we are taking from the classroom, has been stated, and supporting these rentals?
Through you, Chair Cameron. So we, for the last, because of the COVID, and we were not issuing any permits for the last 2 years, and this year we opened it up for the weekdays, not for the weekend. So it depends on how many permits we have. But what we are expecting next year is that, because we will be opening our facility for the weekend use as well as after hours weekday use. So we'll based on the new rates, we'll do the calculation to see where we stand, and based on that, we will bring any changes forward for the following year.
And thank you. And the last question, Chair, through you, Chair. So, I like the matching with Dufferin Peel. I know in previous iterations, you've also looked at the rates of the various municipalities, because they're also in the business of renting their facilities for various activities like we do. How are our rates compared to the various Caledon, Brampton, and Mississauga City?
Yes, through you, Chair Cameron. I can tell you our rates are probably, even with the changes that we are proposing now, our rates will be close to either 1/3 to 1/4 of the rates that the municipality charge the groups. We are still way subsidizing still with the new rates.
Okay. I appreciate the response. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Question.
Yes, go ahead, Trustee Benjamin.
To the chair, just to add to what Trustee McDonald said, and ADDL mentioned that you're going to open it up for weekend events. Now, we keep getting queries from the community groups, and they were told that it's only during the weekdays. So now that we're going to open it up on the weekends, how do we promote this so that we can have more events happening and
So through you, Chair Kevin, we will be sending all the communication to all the permit holders that we have this year or the past, letting them know that the system will open and that we will be accepting the request for the week after the weekday use as well as the weekend, starting September.
Thank you.
Yes, Trustee Promoli, question?
Thank you. Through you, Chair, I appreciate getting the clarification about our enrollment. I know that's a number that some of us have been hearing, and we've been concerned to hear about the decline in enrollment. And I know when some of this will come up later tonight when we're talking about, when we have other materials to look at. I was surprised to see how far under capacity we are at some of our schools. And I was also very surprised to hear that 10,000 number when it first came my way. And I recognize this is off topic from the controller's presentation, but recognizing that, first of all, it's a big loss to lose 10,000 students from year to year. That $100 million figure that you've just given us, that's incredibly alarming because that will impact our students. So I'm curious about what else are we doing here to help make sure that we are making up those funds, and how much do we currently generate from rentals in our schools, and how much more can we anticipate generating? Sorry, there's two questions.
Yeah. So through you, Chair, and let me provide a little bit of background on enrollment. When I mentioned that 10,000, so if we compare our enrollment for this school year, where we are, compared to the 1920, which was the pre-pandemic, so that's where the 9,000 students is. We have lost 9,000 students. And each year in February, we do the projections for the following year, which is the next school year. And we are still projecting a decline of additional 1,000 students. So that's where the 10,000 students come in there. So next year, if that's what happens, our projections are right, then we will have a reduction of 10,000 students as compared to pre-pandemic.
Okay.
And it may be for two reasons why we have declined. I'm just going into there so you have all that information. It's mainly the two reasons. One is that during the pandemic, COVID time, there was no immigration. So all GTA boards rely heavily on the new families coming into Canada and settling into the GTA. So we will get that. And the second reason is the living cost in GTA, when I say GTA, is gone so high. We have many families who is not able to afford to live in Peel or GTA, as it's called it. And they have moved out. They have moved out to Kitchener-Waterloo, London, Windsor. So I have colleagues who are in those areas. When I talk to them, they mention how many families from Mississauga or Brampton has moved to their areas. And they're growing. They're growing. So mainly because of the family moving it out into those areas. So originally, when we thought, hey, it's COVID, so immigration is gonna come back once the things settle down, that our enrollment was starting to pick up. But I think because of the living expenses, we don't expect that to be the case. And also on top of that, even when the new families coming into the GTA, they are here for a few months, and then they moved out also, because it's easier for them to go out into those areas now and settle there. We've seen it, many families, they come into us for a few months, and then they move out. So our challenges with enrollment is going to continue, for at least for a little bit more. And I'm hoping that in a couple of years we will settle. So we are doing whatever we can to we have welcome centers to welcome those families, to make sure that the new families are welcome. We make it easier for them to have their children go through those centers and attend our schools. We do everything possible to make sure those new families are welcomed, and we provide them all the information in there. And then on top of that, we are also we are increasing our efforts to attract more international students as well. Because we were at one point before COVID around 600, we are back to now 300. We were down there. So we're trying to increase, because that's an additional revenue for the board, for the So we're taking all those efforts whatever we can. And also I want to make sure it's clear, it's not only the Peel District School Board, it's all the GTA boards. And we have some other boards, their enrollment decline is worse than ours. This is an issue for all GTA boards. It's not only the Peel District School. I wanted to leave it with that impression. So that's what it is. So in regards to the revenue and all that, again, as I mentioned, because we are partially opening up the permit process, so it's not a good comparison, but what we're hoping is with all the permits open for the next school year, then we'll get a good handle of what our revenues are, we will compare some up. So we will bring any further changes, will come back in next year with some sort of analysis to say, here we are with the permit revenue and our expenditure, and make some recommendations at that point.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Yeah. So while the topic at 9.1 is an update regarding permit fees,
There's another hand up.
I think it's Jill's.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
So while the item is an update regarding permit fees, by extension, I think there's a link to Trustee Promoli's question about the loss of registrations and enrollment relative to multiplying that by the per student amount that will cost this board some money. So I think it is related because the board and acting controller Dobson's department cannot subsidize too many other organizations in this permit fee process. Are there any other questions at 9.1 before we call for a vote to receive it? Seeing none, thank you everyone. All in favor of receiving this update at 9.1? Carried, thank you. Item 9.2 is an application status update, also here for our information and for receipt. We'll move it to the floor. Trustee Bailey, please, and second, Trustee Promoli. This is an application status update, and we'll hear the presentation from Zach Tesaro. Hi, Zach, you're online. There you are. Zach is the planner in development. Thank you. Go ahead, Zach.
Good evening. Thank you. Through you, Chair. This report is for information and includes a list of development applications reviewed by staff for the month of January and February 2023 with a location map and the letters sent to the respective municipality. With respect to the listed applications, the anticipated number of students that will be generated were either included in previous projections, and sufficient school accommodation is in place or will be provided by new schools approved in the board's APD. I am now open to take any questions you may have.
Thank you. Are there any questions about this report? This has been moved. Trustee Promoli.
Thank you, Chair. I'll keep this very brief. I was really interested to see a lot of this information. I know I live in one of these neighborhoods, so it's been a common question to see sort of how it will impact the schools that my children attend. So I was curious to see some of the numbers that are given for capacity versus current enrollment, and based on one of my children's schools. That school, I mean, all the classrooms are in use. They're currently using a portable, but I noticed that the school is listed as being about 70 students under capacity right now. So I was just sort of curious about, and I don't know if you can share this information at this point or if someone could talk to me about it after, but I was curious to know sort of how the school capacity is decided and sort of what the factors are there, because I would be curious how they put 70 more students in that particular school.
Yeah, through you, Chair.
Go ahead, Zach.
We review applications within the enrollment department to ensure accommodation needs are met. Sorry. I apologize.
Oh, no need to apologize. I don't know where they would actually put all the students into that particular school. So I was curious when I saw the numbers because it didn't sort of come together for me.
Yeah.
But,
Okay, Associate Director Gill would like to speak to the issue.
So through you, Chair Cameron, in regards to the capacity, the way we calculate capacity, actually ministry defines, if you have classroom, you can only load up to 24, so that whatever, the 22 or 24. So ministry has clear guideline for all school boards that this is how you are supposed to, school boards are supposed to calculate the capacity of that. Because ministry uses that data to provide us the funding to clean, operate, and all that. So when you say the capacity, we call it MRC, ministry rated capacity. So it's based on the ministry guidelines in there. But sometimes when you operationalize, then we consider other factors in there. But MRC is mainly based on the way the ministry defines that as to what you calculate capacity.
I could add something to that would be helpful, I think, and I learned this by asking many of the questions that Trustee Promoli is asking now. The MRC, the ministry rated capacity that you'll see in your book that you get from planning and accommodations about every school and all the work that's been done on it, and the MRC is listed in a number of places in our documents, does not include space for portables. So I have schools, I have a small school, for example, its MRC is 254, but its current capacity is 276 and expected to grow soon. Where are they going to put them? The question is often asked of me from residents, and where they're going to put them is going to be portables. And the portables, by the way, are not determined, the number of portables per site are not determined by our colleagues here at the table. They're determined by the municipality. So the town of Caledon has to tell that school how many portables we can put on that piece of property, and it's based on a number of things, but I know it's a washroom space within the school, how many more children can it accommodate. So that is a really helpful thing to know for in your community discussions, what an MRC is at each school, and a reminder that it doesn't include portables. So this is the application status update. Are you finished, Zach? Did you want to add anything else?
Can I ask a question, Chair?
I'm sorry, I didn't see your hand, but yes, absolutely. There you are. Thank you.
There I am. Thank you, Chair. And it's more of a comment. The first item on the list is in my ward, and it was part of a rezoning process. And I just wanted to highlight, and I learned something in the process. I had residents in the area saying that they're having this public meeting last month and that I should attend. And talking to Randy Wright and others, the normal practice is not to attend. The process is the city will send this kind of information to us and say this is what's planned, and then we do our accommodation review as we see here in this school for 3 schools that will be impact, and then we do the determination if there will be enough space. And it was a learning lesson, for me to say, it's not wise for me to attend this because it's not my place to answer, and it has to come through the city's request to answer that, and that's done through our planning group, and it was very good. And I'm glad to see we can get a lot more students in the seats in my empty schools, especially in Arundel. But anyway, I just wanted to bring that highlight to the new trustees. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we move to Acting Controller Dobson, Planner Tesaro, did you want to add anything to your, I just want to make sure, because this was your report, that you were done?
Through you, Chair. Yeah, I'm done. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Acting Controller Dobson, you had your hand up?
No apologies, just Madam Chair.
You were just waving? Okay, thank you.
I have
Okay, and Trustee McDonald, I may not have noticed when your hand is up, but I noticed that it's still up. I'm getting better at this, so watching the screen. Thank you. Trustee Singh, you have a question, sir?
Yes, thank you through you, Chair.
Put on your microphone, please.
I'm sorry. Yes, so thank you through you, Chair. I have seen these letters in the package, and this is the letter related to my ward, which is in response to zoning bylaw amendment. And this letter was written in January. I was just wondering if we are expecting a response on these letters from the city, or this is the final. Can we still make a suggestion? What is the status on this?
Okay, thank you. So the question is, the letters that are written that are in the package to the municipalities, planning departments, are we expecting an answer from them, or is that just an information flow? Who could answer that?
Through you, Chair, those are just the first submissions, so those go through to the municipality, and then we can update after that.
Yes, okay. So can I continue?
Subsequent question, yes?
Yes. So on the second page of this letter, which is from January 18, sent to Andrew Ramsamy in regards to government project at the Gold Road, 10,365. On the second page, in point number 2C, because committee, I am listening to the committee, and they are struggling with our anticipated student numbers, which are not close to that sometimes, and communities are struggling with busing and transportation issues, and when a new school is built, it's not big enough, or it's not built in timely fashion. So I was wondering if we can refine a little bit the number C here, so that we have a close to correct number from the cities, because there are a lot more people living in the basements, which are maybe not accounted for, and that is the big reason that we cannot determine anticipated student numbers. And similar enhancement I wanted to suggest in point D2. We have that in D it says the purchasers agrees that for the purposes of transportation to the school, the residents of the development shall agree that the children will meet the school bus on roads presently in existence or at another designated place convenient to the Peel District School Board. So I would say there should be added Peel District School Board and safe for the community, because there are some times issues, bus stops are erected, but sometimes community has to raise issues of safety. So I was just wondering if we can take this into consideration.
I think you had a number of pieces to your question, but the last part was really about busing related to increased numbers that may not be as easy to project into the future, which is we respect as inexact a science as we could find. But I saw Associate Director.
And there's two suggestions, two different suggestions.
Yes.
Yeah. It's not a question like, it's just suggestion if you can enhance or make more suggestions to the city.
So, through you, Chair Cameron, we noted on the suggestions will take into account when we are responding in future to the city. And as the staff had mentioned, that this is the first go at it, and we will have more opportunities as the plans for these developments are revised. So we will have more opportunity to provide more input into the city. So we will take into that consideration.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you. If there are no other questions, I just have a quick comment. This is one of the first application status updates that I've seen in many years where there hasn't been at least one Caledon area being added. It doesn't mean it's not happening. It just means in this particular report that there isn't anything new to add. But I know for a fact in my community just where all the developments are and how many houses are going in and what that means for our capacity challenges at many of our schools. But I think when many of us get this report, we go looking to see how it is, how does it affect our area, or how does it affect children in highly populated areas. And I really do appreciate how difficult it is for our planning staff to try to predict how many children will come out to an elementary school out of this development when you have competing factors as well, like Dufferin Peel, like private schools, and then try to predict how many high school kids would actually be moving into these areas as well. How to do that, except I think there's a formula, secret formula in our planning and accommodation department. So if there are no other questions, this has been moved and seconded. It's here for our receipt for the application status update. All in favor? Receipt. Thank you. That's carried. Thank you, everyone, for the discussion. 9.3 is the tender activity report, also here for our information and for receipt. This will be presented by Acting Controller Dobson as well. Wendy.
Thank you, and through you, Chair. Tonight in your package, you will see the tender activity report for the period of January 1st, 2023 to February 28th, 2023. And I'm happy to answer any questions you may have on the report.
So thank you. Can we move this to the floor, Trustee Singh? Yes, and Trustee Promoli second. Are there any questions about the tender activity report? Seeing none, all in favor of receipt? That is carried. And 9.4 is the vandalism activity report, also for our information. Trustee Baylor, will you move it to the floor? And Trustee Promoli second it. The vandalism activity report will also be presented by our favorite presenter tonight, Acting Controller of Corporate and Support Services, Wendy Dobson. Thank you.
Thank you, and through you, Chair, in your package of the vandalism activity report, you have available is for the months of November 2022 and December 2022. The one thing that I would like to highlight on the report is a notation of a significant difference between November and December, and it's because we had an early Christmas break, which means 2 weeks of December. There wasn't a lot of activity, which was good, and you'll see the cost was significantly reduced. The November report 2022, the vandalism with an average of 5,900 is a little bit high for the month of November, but the average goes around 5,500 to 5,000 per month. And I'm happy to take any questions you have on the report.
Thank you. Are there any questions about the vandalism activity report? Yes, Trustee Benjamin?
I just was going through the category of the through you, Chair, the vandal, the type of damage that's done to. I can understand graffiti and the breaking of windows, but when you say theft, what does it actually mean? What do they steal from our schools?
Through you, Chair, the theft I assume is from the November report.
This is
December's report.
No, it's there on both the December as well as November.
So through you, Chair, the November report where there was a theft, we did have a staff member. There's been a very high number of Cadillac converters that have been stolen, especially off of school buses that are parked in our school parking lots. And there are some occasionally staff vehicles, if they drive a truck. The Cadillac converters are also, there's an attempt to steal them and resell. So that was the situation that happened in the November report theft. For the December, for Heart Lake Secondary School, again, was a Cadillac converter off of one of our staff's vehicles was stolen. And for the one at Lancaster Public School, a license plate was stolen off one of the staff's vehicles.
Just to continue, because Lancaster is one of my schools, I know that's a very small school, they have very limited parking space, and the whole area around it, there's a no parking zone, very difficult for us when you go there. So for a person to come into the property, and I think our schools have cameras, so are they identifiable if somebody comes into the school property and steals?
Through you, Chair, just to give you a little bit of information around the catalytic converters. We do have school cameras and we do see video footage. So two things. One, we're catching them in the act after the fact. Secondly, when they come in to steal the catalytic converters, there's no license plates on their vehicles and they hide themselves very well. So that's something that the Peel Regional Police have been definitely monitoring and keeping an eye on. And we are able to provide that footage to them so that they can pick up anything that maybe we're missing. As far as the license plate, again, yes, we provide Peel Regional Police with any information and video footage that's required after the fact that it's happened.
I would like to add that Enzo from our risk management office also handles the security staff, and I know for some of my schools where they're in fairly remote areas where things were happening that should not have been happening on the property, Enzo has sent in a periodic surveillance, if you like, of visiting to the school by the security staff in their security vehicle to ensure that we're not having break-ins and damage to the school property. Wendy, you want to add?
Through you, Chair, yes. So part of the reason of tracking the vandalism and the situations that do occur is that there's any pattern. That's exactly what Chair Cameron has mentioned. What we will do is we will send more security officers out to do the night checks and so on and so forth on a more regular basis when we see regular activity that may be occurring.
Yeah, I know this,
Through the chair.
Through the chair, I know that, just to add to security, I met him and I know we had a situation in another school and he said he'll be sending it during the night. But this catalytic converters, they are taken during the day, isn't it? I'm not talking about the buses, but if it is staff cars, it's done during the day, which means there are people in the community. So I'm just adding to that. So during the day also, is it possible to send out security?
I think as
controller. Thank you. Through you, Chair, in this particular case, it was an evening custodian's vehicle, so it was not during the day.
Yeah, very smart. Sorry, and through you, Chair, one more question. And here you mentioned about in both November as well as December, there is suspicious activity, illegal dumping in Streetsville, in Clifton. And so what do you mean when you say there's illegal dumping, and where is this material or whatever the dumping taking place?
Through you, Chair, in a lot of cases, it's garbage. People are dumping boxes on school property through the evening, and we're finding them the next morning, or when a security guard may be passing by to do a school check. We're just finding miscellaneous items that are being dumped at the school.
Oh, thank you.
It's about as disrespectful as we could get. Right? People dumping garbage on children's playgrounds and schools. Trustee Bailey has a question.
Through you, Chair. When it says miscellaneous board property damage, what is that? And then it also says miscellaneous third-party property damage.
Through you, Chair, miscellaneous board property can vary. It means that a fence was knocked down or cut, or a pole was missing. So we noticed tire tracks on a school field. Those are miscellaneous items. Obviously, they're not. I mean, they're not common items, but we have no category for if someone drives across the field and leaves tread marks on the field. If for some reason we see that maybe a car at some point hit one of our fence posts, that's a miscellaneous item as well.
And then third party?
I apologize, which one is that under? November?
November 14th?
So in this particular case, through you, Chair, a community member reported that there is, students had dug further down. They had actually dug further down on a house behind the school. So that was a third party. So it was a construction company that had dug a hole that interfered with our property. So that's a third party situation.
Would they then have to?
Yes, correct any damages that were made.
Thank you. Through you, Chair, follow-up question. On the bottom where it says any graffiti under $100 not reported or any broken windows under $200 not reported, does it mean that it's not reported in here or at the board level? Is it kept at the school level? Where is it kept?
Through you, Chair, it is, all vandalism is reported to our security and risk department. It's just not reported on this report.
Thank you. Are there any other questions about the vandalism activity report?
Yes.
Yes. Trustee Singh.
Thank you, through the chair. I have just feedback from the school from my area where increased number of incidents were happening and then they increased the security and that work. Now they are saying the incident numbers have gone down. So just I want to appreciate that Dr. and your team is doing a good job to prevent such incidents in the future.
Thank you.
I could just add to that, one of my schools, somebody was setting fires on the property behind the school. Not a good thing with about 17 portables on the site. And so sent his surveillance teams in, and we never had another incident the rest of the summer. So it was, I agree with you, it can be helpful. I like that whole approach because if you talk to Enzo about this, it's not about catching people, right? It's not about then handing them over to the police. It's very much about ensuring people understand that this is private property and please stay off it.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. And this has been, help me, has this been moved and seconded? Anybody remember this one?
Yes.
It has been, thank you. It was a while ago, in fairness. So it has been moved and seconded. We're all in favor of receiving 9.4. Thank you, everyone. That is carried. 9.5 is the additional item. This is the school bus tracking app. And again, acting controller Wendy Dobson will introduce it.
Thank you, and through the chair, we wanted to bring to your attention some exciting news of a parent app that Stop Bar is going to be implementing called the Chipmunk app. And I'm going to take this opportunity to pass it over to General Manager Roy Winga from Stop Bar to give us a little presentation on screen for everyone to learn about it. Thank you.
Thanks, Wendy. For you, Mr. Chairperson, I'm pleased to be here to talk to you quickly about the new school bus tracking app through your bus planner. It's called the Chipmunk app. It basically allows parents the ability to track their child's bus location through GPS in real time. The app will also provide an ETA when their bus will arrive at their bus stop and at their children's school. The new app is compatible with all Apple and Android platforms for your iPhone. And Stop Bar management staff have been testing the Chipmunk app on an ongoing basis for several weeks now, and we feel we're in a position to start a small pilot project to test the app. And I just want to touch on that although we're just looking at the app now, the basis of the app, why we feel we're ready to roll this out, it's really GPS technology. Every one of our 1,450 buses have GPS, and that's part of the contract that requires to have GPS. We're really pleased to say that's working well. And the GPS interfaces with our bus planner system. And the fabulous part of that is when a parent calls in looking for their bus, when they call into Stop Bar, I love this when I hear staff say this, they say, what bus route are you looking for? And it's route 615. They say, just a moment, please. And they go to bus planner. And because we have GPS, and because that GPS interfaces with bus planner, they can say, I see it, it'll be there in four minutes. Or they say, oh, it was there at 8:05, they see the door opened at 8:05 and it proceeded at 8:06, maybe you weren't there. So this is fabulous technology that we've been taking advantage of for several years now, and we really, to a point now where now that our staff have this information, we feel we're ready to take the next step and hand that out to parents where they can actually see their bus. And there is software available through Bus Planner to do that through the Chipmunk app. So again, we want to take one step at a time. We're looking at starting, we wanted to address all the senior management and trustees first before we start to approach schools. But we'd like to approach a few schools starting the week of April the 17th to try this app. We're worked up a user guide. We're asking the school to hand that out to everyone that's eligible for a school bus stopper will take this on. This is no additional work for our school staff. And parents can sign up themselves, and if they have problems, they can talk to Stopper. And that's a big part of this project too, is that we'll work up our user guide. We have a section on our website dedicated to this where parents can go. And so part of the presentation here is certainly the welcome to Chipmunk. This is what the parent would see when they sign up for the app. And they can go to the App Store and pick this up. It's free of charge, and they can sign up for it. So we're just going to walk through quickly how they would sign up. So this is the welcome screen. If we could go to the next page, please. This is where you choose your school board. So for the purpose of this pilot, Stopper is providing a code that parents would simply just enter the quick code, and that would bring them right to the next page, the login page. And so once we're at the login page, for parents who are already signed up with Stopper to receive notifications, to receive information, they can simply use their current email and login information. It's the same Bus Planner system, and that will get them right in. For parents that don't have an account, they click the bottom, create an account. We can have the next slide, please. And there they would set up their own account, set up their own password, and confirm the password. And then if we go to the next slide, the next step would be to add their students. And again, this is very similar. Even just parents have already done this on Bus Planner just to receive notifications from us. It's all basically the same sign-in procedure. So you would add your children using your OEN number. And as they add OEN numbers, we go to the next page. That populates the student information. So what the parent will have on their iPhone is this. These are screenshots of the iPhone. You would see this is just a simulation. This is not live data or anything. This is all test data. But you see Rebecca Smith that provides all the background of what school they attend, what grade they're in, and provides the addresses. And they can also on the bottom flip over to the tab with a little bus, and that will give them all the bus information. Their assigned bus through Stopper. Another thing they can click on is the person. So just next slide. Sorry, next slide. So this shows us the student's ETA tab. So in this particular example, on this person's phone, they have their 3 children on this phone. And if we use Albert Smith as the first example, that's showing that their bus is scheduled to arrive in 2 minutes at 8:31 a.m. So if they click at the bottom, the map on the bottom, they can just click that and go to the next slide. That's what they're going to have in real time. They will have a GPS map that shows their bus, where it's tracking the direction of the bus. They're also show that the red circle is where the bus stop is, and the ETA is 2 minutes. So once again, just to step back for a minute, this is what our staff are seeing. Now, we really feel confident that our GPS is there. Bus companies are loading up the routes properly, so we feel it's time now we can give this to parents. So that's what the parent would see, and that's a fabulous thing. Without GPS, many other consortia in Ontario, this is what happens. The parent calls looking for their bus. The staff person puts the parent on hold, phones the bus company. The bus company puts us on hold, and we radio the driver. The driver says, I'm 15 minutes late, and we relay that message back to them. So we are way beyond that. Our staff have this information now, and to take it to the next step, we now have parents can see this. So if the GPS is working, if it's pinging, if the the bus is located in the bus planner for the right route, a parent has all the information they need. They don't need to call us. So we're really excited about this. It is taking the next step in really utilizing our technology. And again, this has been at least 4 years working with GPS technology, getting it working on our buses. And we really feel we're ready now to take this next step. So one more feature, if you hit the bottom tab, there's also an alert warning. So Currently, when we can't, for instance, it's been a rough winter, when we cancel buses, say in zone 3, that message I would post on Bus Planner, people would get that alert if they signed up for notifications or they went to our website. If they sign up for this app, they're going to get the alert right to the app. The other great feature of this is currently when you go to our website, bus companies post when a bus is running 10 or 15 minutes late. That will also push right to this app. Ultimately, the app will, that's the ultimate goal down the road. Eventually, the app will be actually populating the alerts. We're not there yet. We need to take it one step at a time. So we are still pushing the manual links to the app as well, to the phone for the parent. So what we want to just let this committee know is that we're reaching out to, we've selected, 3 schools to start this off. Forest Glen Public School, Grenoble, and Alton. And we'd like to try this for a week. And after a week, if we feel we've been able to keep up with parent demand to sign up, then we're going to expand it out to a few more. The goal is to get 10 Peel schools online by May and test it out in May and June. And on the Dufferin and Stopper provides transportation flow boards, so also 10 Dufferin Peel schools. And that's the goal of pilot. It also provides us time to really stay on top of the bus companies. For this to work, the bus company must ensure that GPS is working and it's properly linked to the proper route in Bus Planner. And we have we came a long way with that. Our bus companies now, when they bring a bus in for service once every 6 months, they not only check the brakes, they're required to check the GPS that everything's functioning. So again, it's been a long time coming, but Stopper will be one of the leaders in the province to introduce this type of technology. And as Wendy said, we're really excited about it. For someone who's been in the industry for over 30 years, there hasn't been a lot of change on a school bus. And so this is really exciting to see this finally happening. So I'm certainly available to take any questions.
Thank you, Roy. That's a wonderful presentation. We hear your 30-year excitement in your voice. Thank you. But well, I will get to everyone, and I think Assistant Controller Dobson wanted to add something.
Thank you, and through the chair, I just wanted to highlight communication is going to go out through the schools starting this week right through to the April 14th. The first launch, and this is a very, very soft launch. We just want to be crystal clear that we must go slow with this. We are dealing with technology, some manual pieces. We want to make sure we do this and do this well as far as implementation goes. So the first school, which is Forest Glen, the objective is to implement starting the week of April 17th. Then for Grenoble, it'd be the following week, April 24th. Then for Alton, it would be May 1st. I do want to make crystal clear that the communication that's going to go out to the schools will also include a CC to the superintendent of the schools and the trustee of the school area as well, so that you will see the communication that's going to go out to the schools as well. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you for that. Now we're open for questions. So we have Trustee Bailey, then Trustee Parmole.
I must say, through you, Chair, I must say I'm really, really excited about this app. I wish something like this was available when my child took the bus. This is going to be a game changer for every single parent where their children is riding the bus. Especially knowing you can track where the bus is. That being said, how are you securing that non-custodial parents are not able to get in the system or take their children off the bus prior to the end of their bus ride?
Thank you. Very good question. And to you, Mr. Chairperson, this is all through our current bus planner system. So the current security level for a parent to currently parents can go online to our website. If they have their child's OEN number and there's their address and various information, they can gain access to that. If you don't have that, you can't gain access to that, to our bus planner system the way it is. This app, it's the same qualification. To get onto the app, you need the child's OEN number, you need your address and certain information. So it is secure. It's as secure as it is today before the app for parents. Right now, we have thousands of parents who are already enrolled and getting notifications, getting their bus information online. So for them to see that bus information, to get that credit information, there's a security level to that, and that same level carries over to sign up for the app. It's the same sign-up procedure.
So there is no difference between what's currently being done from a security standpoint to what will be done?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for the clarification. Go ahead. It's acting controller, not assistant controller.
Thank you, and to the chair. And just to follow up, so parents can't make any changes. Only way that any changes can be made is by contacting StopR or through the school. So it's an information app only for parents, but it just gives them a better ETA rather than them getting an email or a text about a bus delay. They'll actually see a physical map of where the bus is located and how far away it is. So hope that helps.
Excellent, thank you. Supplementary?
That's my concern, because right now they can't see where the buses are. They would only be able to take their child off at the beginning or the end. With this app, they'd be able to do it. Right now, they can see it as the bus goes.
Through the chair, they can only see a geofence of a very short distance, and it's within about a block or two of where the stop is. So they can't take their child off the bus. Not only that, the driver is not to allow anyone to get off the bus only at their appropriate stop. So hopefully that helps. Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Roy, were you going to add something there?
I just said, when you're saying, yeah, to you, Mr. Chairperson, nothing has changed here. I think it is a very limited screen. Yeah, I think it is very secure. There's nothing, yeah, I think when you covered that, I agree.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Trustee Promoter.
Thank you so much, through you, Chair. I also, as a parent who has been dealing with buses for some time, I love this update so much. I currently have one walker and one bus student. And I can remember a time actually a number of years ago when my daughter was in kindergarten and we were waiting. It was about 45 minutes. At the end of the day, we had no idea where the bus was. Somebody finally came and told us the bus had actually broken down 3 blocks away. I wasn't able to go pick her up because it wasn't the assigned bus stop. So even at that point, there was no option, even though I was the normal parent, to pick up my child, and it was only 3 blocks away. But it would have been good to know what the situation was and how late the bus was going to be, or where my kid was. And it was just a different time then. So I am so thrilled about this for so many reasons. I did have a question. So sometimes when my daughter's waiting for her bus and we're waiting with her, it's a different bus that shows up. So is this track tied to the route or to the bus, the physical bus?
To you, Mr. Chairperson, it is tied to the bus. The GPS on the bus is tied to our route number in Bus Planner. So when the operator has, there's a flat tire, they have to change buses. So that's the key to this too, that we've been working with our operators. So Joe, you take bus number 5 and we're instead, so they have to go into the system. Once they cover the route, they have to go in the system and make that extra change, and they reassign to route 615, the new bus, and that way everything's on here. And that's something we've been working on, and one of the reasons we've been holding back to make sure we audit our bus companies, we go into their dispatch office and make sure all their staff know how to do this and realize this is important. We need this information. And we need it right now for our staff, but it's even going to be more important because parents are going to be on this. So this is all part of the pilot as well, to go live and give it a test, and we're going to be all over those bus companies to make sure that happens.
That's great. Thank you so much.
Excellent, thank you. It's got rave reviews around this end of the table, Roy. Thank you. Could I just ask, will this make Bus Planner obsolete? Do they have to work hand in hand?
Mr. Chairperson, Bus Planner is the foundation of this. Yeah, so it interfaces with the GPS. So absolutely, that's what gives right now our staff that plan to actual. So when you pull up a route in Bus Planner, you see the route stops. With this, now the plan to actually see the actual bus traveling, which is wonderful for our staff to tell parents. I see the bus, it's going to be there in 3 minutes, or you miss the bus. That's fabulous. So we have that now. So Bus Planner is a big part of it. And now Bus Planner offers this app. So we feel we're ready to take the next step.
Where was this 5 or 6 years ago when I lost most of my hair? Because buses were 40 minutes late and 45 minutes late and we couldn't find them and kids were waiting and families were cold and it was a real struggle. This would really be an answer to that ever happening again. So I'm very happy. Can I just, one more point of clarification, Forest Glen, Grenoble and Alton, do they represent one school from each municipality? Obviously I know mine and Alton, but are the other two, one from Brampton, one from Mississauga?
Mr. Chairperson, so when we picked our first schools, what we want to do is get the schools that certainly a broad range across the region, but also get schools that represent, they have large buses, small buses, special needs buses. That was the first criteria. As we roll out all the 10 schools, they are covering all the different wards and all the different areas, absolutely. But our first criteria was to get a nice smaller sample, big bus, special needs, wheelchair bus. So we want to see that first.
Wonderful. You have thought this through and we are very pleased. Thank you for sharing with us. I remember I did not move and second this, so I'm going to do that. Trustee Davis, will you move this? Trustee Singh, will you second it? Thank you, and everyone in favor? This is carried wonderfully. Thank you so much for that, Roy. And Wendy. We're moving on to item 10, which is 10.1, response to the delegation by Laura Bowman regarding air quality in schools. This is here for our receipt. Controller Chung is on the line and can answer any questions. Controller Chung is Controller of Facilities and Environmental Support Services. Let's put it on the floor. Trustee Promoli, will you? And second it, will you? Trustee Bailey, thank you. And now we're open to any questions anyone has about the report on air quality. Okay, seeing none. All in favor of receipt? That is carried. Thank you. There are no trustee motions for consideration. There are no trustee notices of motion. Yes, Trustee Davies.
I wasn't sure where to mention this in our meeting, but the last couple of meetings I've been meaning to bring it up. I just noticed that a lot of my safety and traffic problems happen at schools that are on main streets. And whenever I go up to your lovely area, Trustee Garrett, I noticed that wonderful thing that goes over Highway 10 to get people across. I was wondering, is it part of our recommendations going forward that when we build a school on a main street that we have an overpass, pedestrian overpass over the main street? I'm just wondering if that's something we can do.
Before Associate Director Gill answers, that's a very timely. In Caledon East, we have an exploding population, almost 900 new homes in the boundary of a school that has a 254 MRC. Remember we talked about this, right? Yeah. Ministry rated capacity. And where are we going to put 900 homes worth of children, based on predictions from our planning colleagues, in a school that, well, we're building a new school, and in the process of getting there. But I went to the developer after consultation with Associate Director Gill and a number of my municipal partners. I went to the developer to say, this is Airport Road, it's unbearably busy. Let us not have more children, grandparents, parents on strollers, walkers, bicyclists on the road. Please, can you build an overpass? And what they had it covered, quite frankly, where they said, we're not going to build an overpass. What we're doing is we are paying out of the construction company will pay for a stoplight to go from that subdivision, which is right across the road from the school, so families can walk right through. So I couldn't argue with them, even though I wanted to argue on the grounds of safety and get people off the road. Right. They had it covered in saying they're already paying for the expense for safety. And I suspect it's not the region's responsibility to build it. It's not the town's responsibility where I live to build it. It would fall into the, I believe, into the responsibility of the construction.
Unless it's fair, but all I'm saying is if we put it in the tender, that this is a requirement if it's on a main road. It's amazing how the people bidding will fall over themselves and make sure that they will include it. It's a lot cheaper to do it then.
Thank you for the idea. Let's
to do it afterwards.
Through you, Chair Cameron, just wanted clarification. When we say we include as part of the tender, are we asking, are we saying that that part of our constructing a new school, part of that tender?
Yes, because I know that, you know, I've got Nelson Mandela on Chinguzi Road, and that is a huge problem. We've got a major road and kids are darting across and all that stuff. It's very unsafe. And when we built that school, we just had it as part of the tender. Hey, you're gonna do a pedestrian overpass here. So we don't have to worry about stoplights, we don't have to worry about any of that stuff.
So through you, Chair Cameron, anytime we build new schools, we have to now go to the ministry and show them our plans, the detailed floor plans, as well as any other improvements we're making. Currently, ministry does not support providing funding for any offsite. That will be considered offsite from our location and overpassing. They do not provide any funding, additional funding for that type of work, and they will not approve it. The only way we can get this type of improvement is working with the municipality or with the region, if they do agree with that. And that type of infrastructure will be considered a municipal improvement, not a school board improvement. So Ministry of Education will not fund that.
I'll chat with Mr. Lecce about that.
Thank you. I'm not sure where that fit into the either trustee motions or trustee notice of motion, but I recognize that it's an important, we all have important questions where there isn't a place on an agenda to land that, but I appreciate your patience. So, Trustee Benjamin?
Through Chair, we have been talking about walking to school, making it safe, encouraging. In the last curriculum meeting, we had a presentation. So on one side, you want the students to walk, you want the parents to walk, and everybody. On the other side, we say we have to make things safe for our kids. So here's a suggestion. And even in an older area like Malton, there's a overpass there where there's no bus stop, no place for people who are coming from Brampton, our students, our teachers. And when you talk to the counselors, I don't know, they say it's taking a long time. So maybe we need to have some kind of a system whereby the municipality, the region, and the ministry, everybody needs to now start thinking about it and say, yes, it's time we started working together for certain issues. For example, student safety. If you want them to walk, provide it, and it should come from all. So we should be pushing for this. Maybe all the trustees together could send a letter to the ministry or the region, etc., etc.
Okay, thank you. Suggestion received. Thank you, Controller Chung. I know you've been on the meeting, the whole meeting, and we didn't have a question for you, but we appreciate the response to our constituent. For adjournment, Trustee Singh, will you move us, please? And Trustee Bailey, will you second it, please? Everybody wants to adjourn. But all in favor? Carried. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate your time.